Hey people, don't get the wrong idea. This isn't to whip your cattle. This is to show love. All you're doing is swatting flies off his butt so he don't whip you in the face with that tail chasing him. You just showing love. This is part 2 of this movie here, The Ancient Engine, reading secret ancient symbols. And I split it up because this is going to be controversial. They might even want to take it down. So I highly suggest watching this first 14 minutes. So I left off here at Nehemiah 13, and in the Greek they call it the separation of the intermixed people. And in the Hebrew it's called the foreigners excluded. And then has a couple more titles. The temple is cleansed, starts at 4. And then down here at the tithes restored, it starts at 10. And this is what I wanted to start reading. Let me start with this from A to Z quote. It says, anything you do, Google's going to put them on top of the list. That's Google's people. If you type any more letters in there, it'll take you straight to their page, probably. But this is J. Edgar Hoover. And he says, the individual comes face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous cannot believe it exists. The American mind has not come to a realization of the evil which has been introduced into their midst. You see, he tried to rhyme that. He was a poet. He might understand. It rejects even if the assumption that a human creature could expose a philosophy which must ultimately destroy all that is good and decent. Like I said, it's AZ quotes, and if you type anything close, it'd probably take you straight to their page. So I'm going to read this as the English sailor, English captain, poet wrote it. And anything comes after this tack, I'm going to read the next word backwards and forwards to in minute. And anything that starts with this A is the God letter. I'm just going to read that backwards. S-I-A-C. So this is a sailor leaving home port, and it says, to ado give to in minute the loose lantine to jiver ho the seawards less do. So what he's saying is to adieu, and this means adios in German, you know. It's adieu, to adieu, farewell, to farewell give. So this tells me that he's leaving out of a port around the Netherlands. He's coming out of this port here, and he's running with the wind in his face down a river and upwind. And then ka is to give. Sometimes it fits in a word, and sometimes it's the word by itself. But ka, to give, and then backward, to in, T-U-I-N, to in minute. And that's where your word minute and minutes, a small portion. Not really a portion, but a small. To give to in minute, to a small. And then the loose, this is E-L-V-I-S, Elvis. The vav could be the W, the U, or the V. So this is a sailing term that comes from the lose. It's where your word lose, and it means everything that you give to the downwind direction. And you know, you're coming out the river and you're zigzagging because the wind's in your face, the prevailing winds in that area. And so the lose is anything you're giving up is the lose. So I do, you know, it's an English spelling of the sound of a German word. So it tells me he's English sailor, poet, and to give to in minute, to the minute to lose. You don't want to lose any time. Lantine to jiver ho. So this is a lantine, is this triangle shaped sail. And this would be used to when you're sailing into the wind and you're having to jiver ho. Jiver ho is that tells me a couple things too. But it was when you're running up the wind and you're having to shift and you holler jibe ho. So jibe or ho, that tells me that the captain thought of his boat as a woman, a her. Jibe her ho. So he doesn't want to lose a lot of time, lose the minute. Don't want to lose a minute to the wind. The lantine to jibe or ho. That's telling the crew members that you got a boom swinging across. When you jibe or ho, you change direction. This boom swings across the boat. So everybody needs to duck down. Let that boom swing to the other side. You're shifting direction. You're cutting zigzags up the river. Anytime you're in a closed spot, you like to use these. And then seawards reads backwards. SIA, and this one tells me to read the next one backwards and forwards. The WEDS. Seawards, and then backwards. LSDUDEU. Seawards less do. It means you having a zigzag across there. Sometimes you going in the direction you want to be, and sometimes you have to completely go against where you want to go in order to get where you need to be. So this is called tacking, and you really got to fight it. The more closed your space is to sail, when you're moving upwind, you can't go straight in the wind, and you're steadily tacking back and forth in this sails, switching sides. So they don't show this on TV. You see them row out, and then they raise up this big square sail, or they'll unfurl the big square sail. But they don't show you this on TV. You don't see it. But this rolls up, and you have a boom and a couple more sails, and they'll run out to get out of the rivers, so they can tack in and out of the rivers. And they'll also paddle along with it. But it's a job to push it out. So when you see this ancient artwork and you see all these ends in the sky here, it means it's real windy. He's got a huge anchor, and that's kind of how it represents the wind, is you having to tack, or the wind in your face, and you're tacking back and forth. End means cycles. So all these words have many meanings. You really got to look into them. And if you look up this letter loose, the loose, L-U-I-S, you'll find it here on Wikipedia, and it's this old ancient second letter in ancient Irish text. And click on these kennings here and read up on this Brit, B-R-I-T. Read about how these kennings are used, and this will tell you how the language of the Bible works. And read up here in this Brit, B-R-I-A-T, the Brit, in the writ, in the covenant, in the writings, the rogue. This final M, I know it's an S. It's the same as I'm reading here, and it means the rogues, plural. In the writ of the rogues. This is thought to be the oldest book, 700 on the Irish language, and everything else that got destroyed. And it has several writers have wrote what they thought about in it. So it has several interpretations. And so this letter, the Lewis, they're not sure about this one, but so it means the luster of the eye would be a flame, or the friend of cattle. But a friend of cattle is downwind. That's all they do is fart all day, and they're glad that it blows downwind. And so I don't think they got either one of them right. But it means loose. It's gone. It's downwind. It went leeward. But this old book is 700 A.D. thought to be with additions. And the book explains the language like I'm trying to read it. So this word lantine comes from two different words. And so L-A is of power. And then of natine have been given. And everything with a T in it, they give this definition. and it comes from the power of Aten, the giving, your mechanical advantage. It's figuring angles. To ado, give, to in minute the loose, to in minute the loose, to make small the loose, the lantine, to jive or hoe, the seawards less do. We're not traveling toward the sea as much anymore. We jive or hoe the other direction. So to see how they could do this, they could force these meanings over these words. Just click on the word, and you see it only comes up one time. They say it means discovered here. But all the words it's associated with when they do that, if it's something they need to use a lot, look how many times that they'll have, how many different words they'll give this same meaning. There's like over 300 words here that they say is the same word. They're all spelled different. They all go in this one class of words. It's Strong's number 3045. Alright, after seawards, let's do. And then Elvis and the Singers. Elvis and the Singers. So this is the lose to the measure rise. That's where they got the singers from. The lose to the measure rise. So a measure is how many beats that are in your music. How many beats are you playing? 3 beats a measure, 4 beats a measure. And if you rise the measure, you're going to speed up the tempo. They're going to row a little faster. When you're calling cadence, if you speed up the cadence, the boat's going to go a little faster. So to the measure rise, to see them lack, E-M-V-M, them lack, L-A-K-E. And so the Malik, this is usually given the meaning of angels, messengers, anything around this, and kingdom is the MLKs. But that's from them lack, and that's the word for angels, is them lack. And sometimes it's because they lack a body, and that's an angel, doesn't have a body. And sometimes it's a messenger, because he's a lackey. He's just a helper. He don't fight real well. He runs fast though. Who see them lack. To rise, the lose to the measure rise. Who see them lack. Whoever's lacking, give them some slacking. So this is where it gets controversial, and they might want to take this down. But it says to arrive, vav connected to, and then A-R-I-V-E, arrive. And you got there, to arrive, to, starts with A, reads backwards, to. And then this tack, I'm going to read this backwards, M-Y-N-G-S, my niggas, the sagging is. When it comes back this way, this M reads as a S. So it's an M when you start, my niggas, and then the sagging is, S-G-N-I-S. Whammer, to cry, big cry babies. Madua nose in by Tomiel. This is why all your angels' names are the word for God backwards, because that's the way they're read. But you see the T here, T-M-I-E-L-A, Tomiel, hail, back the other way, hail his, to aquabats, like astronauts or aquanauts, aquabats, to Ahmeds, all made Mohammeds, shall set them in their place. Y'all Mohammeds are acting like a bunch of girls, Mohammeds. Y'all be set in your place. By Tomiel, he's the angel of the one-punch kill, the touch of death. NGS, and my nigs, nig is the garden backwards, GN. And so this is a gin. They're like something they use to press the juice out of sugar cane. They use them to grind meal. They use them to pump water. They'll have linkage and shafts running to the well and to the lakes. And so this is the old Egyptian word nig, N-G. And it means to cycle the foot, N-G, cycle the foot, and to nig the jinn. This is a small jinn, and by turning this around, he's nigging the jinn. It's this N-G, cycle the foot, or cycle to lift. The cycle's to carry, to do the actual work. So this is the old Egyptian term, nig, for the bull gods. Nig is a generic term. And you can see it spelled here with the N, the cycle, and the G, to lift. And so it'd be the foot in Phoenician or Hebrew. It'd be the same N in the foot. And you can see them here, the nig, the mad bull, the black bull, and the nig. So it comes up a lot here in Genesis 2, in the garden, begin, BGN, in the jinn. And so you see that the tree is the ox, EOX, the ox. And so here's a big clue about that word, whatever, is that's what Adam would call things. He brought them to Adam to see what he would call them, and whatever. He called them whatevers, things. But you can see it here in Genesis 2:16. Every time it says the trees of the garden, that's what it says, OX, the ox, and then it reads backwards and forwards, nig the jinn. The ox nig the jinn. He's the one doing the work. And so that's what this means, is in the time that this was written, they'll call this the bull, is this S-U-R, and it by no means does S-U-R mean bull. That means, you read it backwards, rose, the rose where, W-R. Is the ancient word for the first city, the Aryans' first city, and it means where. It's like New York, that's where it's happened 24 hours. Is where, to the ruse where, and this is where the start is. And then by no means does this mean pig. This is tet, T-H-L-A, the tail, and this means the start, to rise, the rose. The rose be given the meaning head, to rose where, to begin where, at Easter, and then the tail comes the end of it, the tail. So every time it says ox in the Bible, they're going to give it this word, S-U-R, but that's not correct. That means the beginning of the year, and that's where the ox will be, and he's going to have the yoke on him. And so this is the jinn. This is the jinn of two hubs rolling, two different hubs, both hubs, and the ox is pulling it around. And you can see the little gears here on the wheels. The ox is dragging it around. So your word engine would be spelled G-N-I, and it would be I-N-N, gin. It would come after a word with a tack. We'd probably say to, but it would be then to in the gin, to make nig the gin. So it would be spelled out E-G-N-I, to make nig the gin is the engine. So to jive or to, and to all this measure raising, to arrive to, my niggas the sagging. And so the ones that's nigging the gin here, they was wore out. My niggas sagging. And to cry, to whammer. You know, all the words for he said have this AMR in it. AMR is word when it has something in front of it. But this is W-A-M-R-E, whammer, big cry baby. Lammer is to eliminate, to elaborate. Give me more, tell me more, to lammer. To yammer is questioning, a bunch of questions, you're yammering. Grammar is the is proper language, is grammar. And so it's talking about many different kind of language in here, but this is the language of whammer, of cry. Madua. Madua means mother moon. Madua is the mother house ruler, the mother moon. Nose in, N-O-Z-B, nose in. Mama nose in. And so usually when you see this B-B-I-T, it means the first one will have the dot and the second one won't, and it's invite. And it'll say in the house, invite, V-I-T. But this is by Tomiel. Tomiel is one of the archangels from the first page of the Bible, and he's known to have the killer touch, to kill with one touch. And then backwards the other way, hail his to aquabats, to seamen, to sea warriors, aquabats. And Ahmeds, all made Mohammeds. A bunch of Mohammeds acting like a bunch of little girls. Set them in their place. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. I believe I'm going to make a part 3 for this, because there's a lot of good stuff that comes in these next couple of lines I want to read. And I want to go over that calendar, that Ox of the Jinn calendar some more. Alright, good day.